Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. This is G. How is everybody doing? We made it. We are in the last week of January 2024. Yes, seems kind of crazy, but we did it. We made it. And I'm moving myself around because I got stuff covered up here, which I didn't realize. Yeah. You see that chart? Does it look crazy to you? There's a lot on that chart, isn't it? Yeah. And when I take the chart away, okay, I didn't really mean to do that, but when I take the chart away, it doesn't look as confusing. So what I'm going to do is I've spent a lot of time with this chart already. So I realized I had to take all those notes and I thought, oh my God, this is too much. And it is. It's too much to look at one time. It's almost like I would need to take the chart and draw 1 or 2 lines or 3 at the most and then show you that and then erase it. And then anyway, we're not going to do that. I'm going to first kind of walk through this chart without showing you the chart. So the week starts off with a lot of energy. There's a lot of stuff happening, although it's not new. It's not necessarily new. We still have a lot of boss energy, which is why the video kind of started off, at least I think you saw it, where it was like Capricorn energy. You know, you had this serious black energy, and I don't mean, yeah, was that a Harry Potter character? I didn't mean for that to be a Harry Potter character, but you know what I'm saying. When you've got the Capricorn energy and it's the color black, it's very serious. It's very much focused on its long-term tangible security. So when we think of that, we're thinking governments and businesses, corporations, right? But it's also for us in our own world. Like, what do we need to kind of establish that long-term tangible security? Okay. So with Mercury and Mars and even Venus joining the party now, right? So we start the week off where it started last week, actually, the previous video I did. Venus had entered Capricorn. Well, now here we are on the 29th, and Venus is already at 7 degrees in Capricorn. And Mercury and Mars are actually trining Uranus. Trining. Okay. So Uranus is in Taurus. So now what does all that mean? It means they're sitting down at a table and they're having a conversation together. And I had to bring up Venus because, well, Venus rules Taurus energy. And so Venus in Capricorn is really mature. She's very serious minded. She's also thinking about her long term tangible securities. This isn't Venus who's sitting in the tub and who's like lighting all the candles and then is saying, hey, when I get out of the tub, can you make sure that there's, you know, a hot cup of tea waiting for me, type of thing. No, this Venus is like in the boardroom. This is a Venus who's in the boardroom, and we're like, okay, let's get to the details. Show me the books. Give me the presentation. I want to hear what you have to say. And let's talk this through because we've got Venus and Mercury, her sibling, and Mars, who I would kind of liken to, do I dare call Mars an older brother of Venus and Mercury? Sure. What the hell? Why not? But Mars is a soldier. Mars is a soldier in Capricorn, a soldier that takes orders and that follows through and takes action with those orders. Okay. Capricorn is the boss energy. So we have serious energy. We have people thinking, okay, what do we need to do to establish some sort of tangible material security and usually stability? Because it's Uranus, which doesn't make sense because Uranus has been trying to disrupt the stability. It's been disrupting the peace. That's what Uranus does when it's in Taurus energy. My money, my values, what I desire, even my love, right? My values, my love, who I love, what I love. It screams exciting. It screams new. Taurus is also banking. It's also the earth. So we think of, when I think of Taurus energy, yeah, I think of fine art. But I also think of digital money and currencies, and maybe currency is the wrong word, but digital dollars even eventually, but also, of course, like the Bitcoin, the Ethereum, the cryptocurrencies, because it's technology. It's technology, and it's technology, disruptive technology, Uranus, going through Taurus, going through banking. And it's what's more disruptive to banking, which is centralized, than disruptive Uranus, which is all about decentralized, which is like, this isn't contingent on a business. This isn't contingent on a government, right? It's saying we can have some sort of a store of value. Maybe that's the wrong word. With that's separate, that's stands on its own. Uranus, very individualistic. It's freedom. It's like, I am an individual and I am authentically me, and I'm not going to be like anybody else. And I, yeah, kind of like a shit starter, right? Because people will be freaked out. People are more like, but you're rocking the boat. Don't rock the boat. This is the same boat we've been on. And so this is all conversations, because we have Mercury, the news and information, with Mars trining Uranus. So remember, Uranus now can be an authority figure. So whether this is someone in charge of the banking, in charge of the interest rates, we can also think of the large global scale of the finances and the global banking, because Aquarius energy is like global systems, whether it's shipping or money, whatever it is, it's 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 the world. Okay. And so we think of even like, oh, I don't know, science and technology and the space station. And we think of Space Force. We think of all these things where we are uh, cutting edge, where we are going where no man has been before, where we're uh, dipping our toes into territories that we probably might feel concerned and even scared of. So we think of AI, right? AI. And right. Taurus, Uranus, AI for sure. So some sort of news, some sort of information, something in the news. And then we think of Mars being there. So there's action being taken, action being taken. So whether it's action being taken as far as something having to do with the jobs and the routines of the work at the jobs, right? And the projects and those things possibly even changing. And even if nobody's connecting the dots and saying, hey, this is changing, it's a really good possibility if somebody was either uh, laid off, or I forget the word they use overseas, but or their position was eliminated, their what's that word? Their branch or their department was eliminated. There's a reconfiguring going on. And so within that reconfiguring, we're moving people around, we're getting rid of these departments. There are things that we're realizing with the AI. There's a lot of those antiquated things that are so old, so ancient, that we were spending our time doing, that the AI can do for us. So what that will do then, I know it seems like, hey, this is freaky, but at the same time, we're in the process of learning. We're in the process of learning how to use it in a way where it can be an assistant to what I already do. And therefore, some jobs may be completely um, relabeled with new duties, new responsibilities, because they've been restructured and reconfigured, reshaped, reformed. And those words, reshaped, refigured, reformed, restructured, it's all Capricorn, because Capricorn's all about the structures, the long standing structures. And so with Mercury, Mercury's coworkers, well, it's in Capricorn. Mars is there, so it's taking action, right? And and yes, of course, Mars can be somebody who carries a weapon. So unfortunately, with all the different wars and all the different uh, uh, I don't even know words to use anymore, all the incidents, all the things that are occurring, whether it's on water or on land, all the different, uh, God, what's the word to use? The battles that are waging for turf, right? And Mars taking order from somebody who's higher up and who's saying, okay, we're restructuring this. We're thinking long term now. And so I'm praying that there can be a benefit here because there is a grand Earth trine. There absolutely is. So this is where I'm going to pop the chart in for a quick minute, maybe longer. We'll see. I want you to see the grand Earth trine. You can see it there. The grand Earth trine is in blue. And so what I am going to do is I will come in with my blue and I'll kind of help to reemphasize it. So here's the Uranus energy in Taurus at 19 degrees that I was talking about. I have to talk about that a little bit more because 19 degrees is 19 degrees and 5 minutes is significant, very significant. But before I explain that, I want to talk about this. I want to show you. How about that? I want you to just focus your eyes on the bluish purpley type of line. And so I'm going to start here and I'll just kind of re-emphasize it and reinforce it for us. So it's coming through a little bit stronger. Okay, it's a little bit thicker of a line. And then we'll do that. That's not what I wanted you to do, but yeah, behave. We want that to go down here, right? And then you see the big trines over here with Virgo and Capricorn, right? There's 3 of them. There's Black Moon Lilith even, right? And then on this day, at this particular time, on the 29th, there's even the moon here conjunct Juno. It just happened to be the time I drew up the chart. So all of that, trines, right? It's Mars and Mercury together. You see them, they're conjunct at 18 and 19 degrees. What's really fascinating, remember long-term goals, Capricorn, the rules, the structure, the order, right? We're trying to establish something for the long term. And Virgo can be the work and the workarounds, but the works and tasks and projects at the job, the duties, the responsibilities, because that's Capricorn, but it's a trine. And so it's like coworker energy, right? This can be very domestic energy typically. So sometimes if we mix domestic energy with professional, who would that be? Think about it. This is someone who might be your barista. This is someone who might come in to clean your home. But this can also be a home healthcare aide. This can be nurses, right? People who work in the healthcare. Usually alternative energy, though, it's struggling to be alternative. It's struggling to kind of get away from the drugs and the medicine because it's Virgo, and it's understanding the body and the mind connection. You see, so there's a lot of strength here for connecting the Earth energy. Again, the grand Earth trine. If I didn't say the word grand, it's a grand Earth trine with Uranus and Black Moon Lilith and Juno. And again, Juno's in a retrograde. So it's strong. It's strong. And it's partnerships. It's partnerships. It's saying, let's think about this rationally. Even though I might not like you, right? Like we don't go out and have drinks, we don't party, we don't talk on the phone. I can figure out a way to make it work to get the job done. Right. Because I'm thinking long term. I got the long term goal in mind. And that's Capricorn. It says, I got to be mature. I got to grow up. I got to be the adult. And I just got to stay focused on the goal, the eye on the prize. Capricorn energy, very competitive energy, very competitive. Remember, Venus is here at 7. So at that low degree, we know that she just got done training Jupiter. And that was in the previous week's video. So as this week goes on, Venus will be getting higher in numbers, which means she will likely come to a time where she starts to trine Uranus as well. You see, so right off the bat, there's a lot of strong Earth energy. And when we talk about Uranus, we just have to remember this can be somebody in charge, right? This can be an authority figure, somebody who can adjust the interest rates for the US government, because they were fighting inflation and trying to get those numbers down, right? And the interesting thing that now I'm going to go ahead and dive a little bit deeper in is the 19 degrees and 5 minutes. All right. On the last week's video, I had said that degree and that minute are very, very interesting. And to me, the bigger story, even though Uranus, after it's been in a retrograde, it always goes direct. Like that's just a normal cycle for Uranus energy. So it's not something that we're surprised by, right? But what's interesting is it went direct on the 22nd. And this chart is for January 29th. It's still at the same degree. It's still at the same degree and minute. It's still at 2905. But that's not all. Uranus stays at that degree and minute. I have it written down here. You see this? Uranus stays at that degree and that minute. Around that time, we have Uranus. And so by then, the sun is now squaring Uranus energy. Squaring Uranus energy. So the sun then is in Aquarius, right? The sun is in Aquarius and it gets up in the numbers and it reaches that 19 degrees and it's squaring Uranus. So it's the sun in Aquarius, which is Uranian energy. Let's be clear about that. But Uranus squares Aquarius. So there is a lot of power struggles going on. And maybe power struggles isn't the right word because we're not talking about Pluto necessarily, although Pluto is also part of the story for this week because, well, we'll get to it, but we know Pluto is in Aquarius, you see? So there is some power with Aquarian energy. There is power with disrupting something, disruptions. Yeah. So in the other video, I mentioned that there might be something going on where an authority figure and somebody might be, figuring out a workaround how to get things done, or there could be a complete and total disruption altogether. We see Uranus on the 2nd. On the 2nd of February, she moves to 1906. How about this? That is still a very long time. For 5 days prior to the 22nd of January, that's why I read that wrong, 22 degrees. She was sitting at Uranus, he was sitting at 1905. 1905. And it's not until February 2nd that Uranus goes to 1906. So even though it's direct, there's still like a lot of stubborn energy. There's something that likely will be a new paradigm, a new form, something likely to do with the money, possibly, and banking and interest rates. But at the same time, there's a lot of disruption here. There's a lot of disruption. And this Mercury, 25 degrees, 37 minutes, February 2nd, this Mercury is sextiling Neptune. And so that can be communication, right? But it's somebody within the government, someone who's a public figure, that can be helpful as well. Okay. I also want to go to the other extremes, which not only Pallas Athena going to 29 degrees, but look, on the 5th, you see what I have written down here? On the 5th, there's a lot. We already knew about Pallas Athena, and we already knew we knew about Pallas Athena and we knew about Astrea. And that's the symbol for Astrea. For anybody who's looking at that, like what in God's name is that? That's Astrea. And this is Pallas Athena. They were already at 29, right? We saw that they got there like on the 2nd and they're slow movers. So on the 5th, they're still there. But look who joins the party of being at a critical degree, Mercury and Ceres. So this weekend, for this chart, it goes from, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Normally, we don't hear about things within the government until it's Monday or Friday at 5 o'clock to be precise. Sometimes even in the evening, if we involve Jupiter and judges and stuff like that. And I'm bringing that up because the Ceres at the critical degree, it's not going to be in the same sign as Mercury. If you look on this chart, where's Ceres at? It's in Saggy. So judgments. You follow? Rulings, possibly. right? Cirrus is how I feel nurtured. So it can literally just be simply food. And we think Jupiter, so it can be supplies, things to get to foreigners, foreign lands, foreign countries, and immigration and people in airplanes, possibly, or traveling in some other way, people in boats, possibly, hopefully not during these winter months. Cirrus at 29 degrees in Saggy, right? But so is Mercury. Mercury's then in Capricorn at 29 degrees. So if Mercury's in Capricorn at 29, we know with just in one day, actually the same day, Mercury moves and becomes conjunct Pluto in Aquarius. More disruptive energy, more surprises even. You see? So this chart looks like all the writing looks like a hot mess. It's like, gee, there's too much on there. But when you look at what I have drawn in, right? Um, when you look at the different energy as far as the shapes of the lines that I have drawn in, it doesn't look nearly as confusing, does it? It looks a little bit like less of a hot mess, actually. So, in other words, there will likely be new beginnings. Uranus loves new, loves exciting. So maybe because it's not retrograding, maybe it won't feel as disruptive. It's just more like, oh, we're starting this new thing. It's a possibility because there's still a lot of strong earth energy. And we haven't even mentioned Venus. I did at the beginning, who is eventually going to be moving, right? She's going to be trucking along here. And she is going to then also trine Uranus. You see? So when that energy happens, it's it's grounding, it's restructuring, it's reorganizing, but it's thinking for the long term. And so it can be less as intense, it can be less as unsettling, right? So, in all, the Mercury conjunct Pluto, that would be a big deal because it's Mercury was at 29 in Cappy, business and government. And then Sirius was there at 29, hanging out in Saggy, and it will stay there for a little bit of time. Um, and then, yeah, uh, Mercury and Pluto, which is intense communications, deep dives, talking about things that were hidden. This is group energy. This is friends, but this can be the airlines. We heard a story about an airplane going up in the air, and they knew there was some sensors going off, and they didn't keep the plane grounded. They kind of were like, okay, you just can't fly over the ocean, but you can have local flights, that kind of stuff. It was like, what? Seriously? You're letting me go up in a plane where there's issues? And I know people have said things like, well, sometimes it doesn't have to be something major. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, I absolutely will wait, get the shit taken care of, right? So there could be things about that group energy, which can also be things about science and space and astrology and medicine and inventions of any kind. Inventions of any kind. There's so many keywords we can throw in, right? We think of alternative power. We think of energy. We think of independent power, right? We think of hydrogen. We think of nuclear. And again, when I use the word nuclear, every time I use it, people freak out and they think nuclear bomb. I didn't say the B word. I didn't say that. I said nuclear as in a form of energy, right? And because I don't want people to get triggered and think like, oh my God, that's what she's talking about. I'm not talking about that. I am talking about people using nuclear power because, well, they, for them to be independent of other countries, yeah, that's probably gonna have to be more of a reality, okay, for a lot of countries. So, all in all, this looks like a week where it's the weekend, that Friday, possibly Saturday, Sunday, and then that Monday, where we're likely going to be hearing about some things that we might find surprising. But then at the same time, we still have the strong earth energy, which is lending some support, which is creating stability, which is we're very logical and we're still very much, um, you know, it's not until that Monday when Mercury enters Aquarius where we're kind of thinking new. We're thinking new, we want new, we're thinking I need independence, we're thinking different and exciting. The mind definitely changes, and we start to feel Aquarius season more intimately and more personally at that point, which is interesting because Aquarius isn't typically personal. It's usually a little bit detached, actually, and it's usually, um, it's like the engineer and the scientists, where they're all about digging their head into the experiment, and you got to pull them out to eat, right? You got to say, "Come on out, and it's time to eat. Damn it, you've been working in there all damn day." You think of the mad scientist when it's Aquarius energy; they just get so engrossed in their work. And I can understand that. It happens with me with the astrology. Like I get so involved in it, I kind of forget of my surroundings even. So we'll start to feel that Aquarius energy, which is again new, exciting, different, and independence. Independence will be key because now that Pluto is in Aquarius energy, it wants to change and transform what independence looks like. For sure, we think of the United States and, of course, countries all around the world. But I mention the United States because it's rebirthing. The country's in a rebirthing process. We go back to when it signed its Declaration of Independence, Aquarius energy, right? And so the country itself is going through that time where it is redefining some of the things that were written, and it's like um, a lot of that might not apply anymore. The world has changed and we have grown and evolved. And that's really important to acknowledge that. So that wraps this up. I hope it made sense. If you got any questions, you can go ahead and comment to me below. And if you're still with me, if you're still here, if you're watching and you enjoy the work, you enjoy what I do, if you find that it's helpful and of value, please take the time to give it a thumbs up. Take the time to leave a word, a comment of some sort. It doesn't have to be lengthy. Just let me know you were here. And if you feel like sharing it out, that helps the channel a lot, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one.